Hello, brother crafting family. I was going to say sewing, but I'm thinking crafting because we were just talking about the scan and cut. So, welcome to the crafting party for an hour. I'm brother brand ambassador Angela Wolf.
Hello, everyone. I'm May Flaum.
And we have a really fun show for you today. But May, I had to start with what is that a new piece of jewelry or what are you going through?
So I am 5 weeks post shoulder surgery, and I can actually pop this off. I actually just had it on setting up for the live to make sure as I was moving stuff that I didn't forget myself and forget what's going on here. So we can take it off for the live. Don't worry, doctor is okay with that. We're not breaking any rules. But I had it on and I wanted to start the live with it on because I wanted to remind myself and remind all of you, the scan and cut is fantastic if you are limited in mobility or you have an injury or you haven't been crafting because, maybe you don't have full use of both hands at the moment for some reason. I've been able to craft with this one-handed. Not that I was doing a lot of crafting in the early few weeks of recovery, but I can, and I have had some projects come up or some needs come up, use this, and it's been absolutely fantastic because you don't need a lot of mobility or any strength or anything since it's doing all the cutting and all the hard work for us. So
that's
just a reminder that it's wonderful.
May, in fact, I'm just thinking like even without an injury or post-surgery, I was thinking about you today for not only that reason, because I was hoping that your arm's okay, but or your wrist, last year, for anyone who's new here, by the way, I see everyone saying hi, say where you're from, because we love to see that. And we have all the regulars in, which is fantastic. But last year, you gave a tutorial for Mother's Day cards. And I actually pulled it up this morning. I've got the scan and cut with the Art Spira, and I'm ready to go. And so thank you for that tutorial. And anyone who's looking for that tutorial on cards, go back to Brother's YouTube page or Facebook. Scroll through the videos for last year about this time and you'll find it. I'll find the episode while you're teaching today.
Yeah, and you know what? I was just thinking about that because today we're going to focus on graduation. We're going to just show you some options and real easy graduation cap decorating because I know that's really popular these days. And that's what we're going to do today. But if you go rolling back, you are going to find, I was just looking at one like this one, that one, we'll look at a closer look at it. This one's got rhinestone Mickeys all over it. We have rhinestone shows. We have card making shows, or you name it, cutting out stamps, designing your own patterns. We have so many topics that we have covered over the years on these live shows and had so much fun with. So don't hesitate to look back and watch some of those past shows. You might get inspiration or you might get the help you need for your next project.
I think it's going to be perfect. I want to see this cap thing. This is going to be pretty cool. I saw Cindy King in here. She's all bummed because one of her kids are graduating. They won't let them decorate the cap. Oh, no.
I feel your pain, Cindy, because my daughter says, no, we're not decorating her cap. And I'm like, but I know I can do it. No, we're not doing it. We're supposed to do it. I'm like, okay. Or I think she said she was going to put black on the black cap. Like, black. So it was like you could barely see it if you were looking in the right light. I'm like, it's your graduation. You get to make the call, but dang it, I want to
Oh, that's hilarious. So that's what we're doing today is decorating caps. But, this could be used for other things too, May. It could be used for decorations, for your graduation party, things like that. So think outside the box, even if you won't decorate your cap.
Absolutely. And anything you can think of. If you had maybe you could get a banner, you can get paper or fabric banners that are plain. You could use these designs and heat transfer them or use a sticker vinyl if that works better. You could use all of that onto basically anything or onto table decor, a table runner. You could put it onto a table runner. You could put it onto, your imagination is really the limit here, what you're going to either adhere or heat transfer on. The difference between adhering it with a sticker vinyl versus a heat transfer vinyl, it's going to be what are you putting it on? So for example, I'm trying to look around here, see if I have something that's a good example. I don't really, but, my sewing machine back there. So I wouldn't want to iron something onto my sewing machine. Plastic
I'm
melting.
laughing. I'm like, you should point that out. No go on the ironing.
We would want a sticker because to put an iron onto the sewing machine, we're going to melt stuff. So if we were going to try to put stickers on our sewing machine, we would want to use a sticker. But if we were using something like, say, my dress, if I wanted to put on this fabric, well, if I put a sticker on here, you put a sticker or name tag on your clothing, I'm sure, at an event. Well, if we do that, it's going to just peel off. So that we would want the heat transfer type of vinyl. So that's really what you think about, is what material you're going onto is going to determine which one you're going to pick to go with. So for our cap, I've just got, and this one doesn't have a tassel right now. I think the tassel fell off. But this one is just a standard graduation cap that we're going to work with today. And I've got a few examples here. I'll show you. Here's a Mickey Mouse one. Isn't that fun? That one's all rhinestones and then heat transfer vinyl. So these are all heat transfer. And then here's one where I hand wrote the class of 2023 and just scanned it in. And then these are built-in designs. And I've got another one because, around here at least, a lot of the grads go to Disneyland for grad night. So this one is a bunch of different characters, all from the machine built in. And then I'm going to Disneyland is a font in the machine. Now today I've got the yellow bin out here and I'm trying to think of which way behind me do I have to go? I'm not sure. Back here is my rainbow container that has all different things. And with my, there it is, with my trusty and handy labels, I've got my labels there labeling all the different things, but this is all heat transfer vinyl scraps from different projects. And this is a really great project to do that because you have the button in the middle. You're going to want to make sure nothing's in the middle. If we go over to the machine, I'll show you how I'm going to get started here with.
All right, I'll bring it up for you. There you go, May.
There we go. Okay, so let me move you. And let me move you a little bit here. There we go. Oh, hang on a second, guys. There we go. Now we're in good shape. Okay. So, well, I've got a piece of paper here that's not quite as big as my, just maybe like 1 inch smaller. But what I'm going to do is kind of center this on here. And then I'm just kind of getting an idea of where this center is. And then I'm just going to get an idea on either side, and I'll take a ruler here. So if you're going to build your own pattern, I would not put the little button dot in the middle of my paper, and I'll show you what I would do for that. There's a lot of endless options here, what you want to do. What I have done here is essentially shown myself, here's how wide it is, and approximately here is where the button is. And I made that a little bigger than it really is. That's going to be the first thing. Now, if you want to draw your own design, which I'm not going to do today, but I'll just show you what you would do. This is just printer paper, right? So really thin. If I place this over, I think you can, let's see. You see how you can sort of see it through the paper? So if you were going to make your own design, what you would want to do is you've got that in mind. So, whatever it is that you're wanting to do, let's say I wanted to write class of 2023. Now, if I was going to make cut files, I would want this much thicker. I'm just kind of giving you the idea. If you were going to do, like, let's say we were going to do a wreath. And again, you would want a much thicker pen. We're just, for example, here's kind of what that would look like if you wanted to make a wreath. And maybe you want to do parts. So maybe you want to doodle some of this and then add built-in designs as well. That'll work. But this is how you would start, is know where that button in the middle is, but don't draw it, because remember, whatever we draw here is going to be what the machine picks up, what the machine sees. And then in a dark color, however thick you want. Remember remember that this is going to be real size. So whatever thickness you draw is the thickness that the machine would pick up. But this is how you would do that. Okay, so you could spend a lot of time on this, or the graduate could, if the graduate's an artist, or maybe the graduate just likes the idea of some handwritten or hand-designed art. They can do whatever they want. Your only rules are there has to be a line for the machine to follow, and it has to be thick enough to actually cut something. So if we cut this super, super thin, could it possibly cut that thin? Yes, but it would be so near impossible for you to transfer it. The machine could probably do it, but it would be near impossible to actually transfer it, and it wouldn't show up. You need it big enough to show up. So that's kind of how you would get started on doing that. What we're going to do with this is a little different, though. What we're going to do, because that gets into time consuming and a little trickier, and let's face it, sometimes we are having maybe we're needing a lot simpler, a lot faster, right? Especially if you have a graduate, you may be very, very, very busy leading up to it. So you may not want to spend tons of time. And that's where the ScanCut comes in hand. Especially what I love about this particular model is it's one of the Disney models, meaning there are Disney cut files all built in here. So there's rhinestones, there's some Pixar ones, there's so many. We have so many options here. So we can pick whatever design, whatever design works for the graduate, or more than one, whatever design or designs. If you want to do lots of different characters, if you wanted to focus on one character, you could do, there's not a wrong answer here is what I'm saying. We can do whatever it is that works, whatever it is that the graduate is really liking, we can do. So we can just take a look through and you'll see so many. I don't know that June and snow, that would be pretty, most places that would probably either be wishful thinking or very unhappy, right? One or the other. We're not necessarily happy. I'm going to do the Lion King, and looking at my cap here, my vision here is kind of, the cap's going to go like this, but I like the idea of running it along one side. So I just need to be aware of how many inches do I have here. 4 inches high. If I'm just trying to go along one side, I have 4 by 9. So that means this cannot be 5 inches high. It has to be under 4. And I'm just going to take it just a little under 4. So 3.7, that ought to work. And then 7.5, that ought to work. I just think this would be really cool. So you can pick your designs. I'm going to go ahead and pick all of them, or no? I got to think about that. I think I'm just going to pick one at a time. So there's our stripes. So we just need to go to the bin, right? Go to the bin full of fun colors and see if we've got what we would like to work with here. And there's lots of options. I'm going to use this kind of brownish color for the characters, just so it's it's brownish glitter. So it's like showing a little differently on the black. That's something to remember. I know a lot of times we work on a white surface. So we're going to work on a black surface. We want to be aware of that. And then I'm thinking I had to pull a roll. That's okay. I'm thinking a roll of vinyl and kind of a yellowish color. I think that'll pop pretty good. And remember, you could consider the school colors if that's something the graduate wants or not. The sky is the limit. And I also want to remind you, we're just going to peel off. Oh, that dust cover is always so loud. It's the loudest part of the whole thing. So the other thing to remember, that's a little off center there. If we're doing heat transfer, we want the color, whatever side looks like the color finish we want that to be down. We don't want that to be up. And I'm just going to grab my little scraper tool here to kind of help me. Honestly, the bubbles are not going to be a huge problem, but can't hurt to get them out. It'll just make everything a little easier to not have tons and tons of A few is okay. I really had a lot of bubbles here. So let's get rid of at least the bigger ones. All right. I'm going to load it. And then I will actually bring the machine back down here a little. Okay, so from here, we're going to scan because I need to see where the material is. And that will just take a moment. And then I just need to move this so that it is on my material, which might be hard for you to see because it's white on white. But basically, if you're going white on white, what you're looking for is where do the little grid marks from the mat not show up. Okay, and we're going to select cut. These layer designs are really cool, and half cut is on. If it wasn't, it's right here in tools, half cut on. The really cool thing about these layered designs is that it sizes all the pieces for us. So it's going to cut this appropriately sized. Then when I go select the characters and cut them, they're also going to be appropriately sized to fit onto this design the way they're supposed to, which is just really super handy. Okay. And it's even almost done. Super fast. And like I do, I'm just going to kind of take a peek here and see if it looks like, because this is like it's like a sport vinyl. And sometimes these sport vinyls are a little tricky with wanting to peel properly. So if you hit finish, it's going to bring you back here. And I'm going to have it cut one more time. I don't know what it is, but this is something to remember, and this is important if you're working with heat transfer vinyl especially, although it can be true for any material. The different materials, some of them like this like sport extra tough vinyl, it doesn't, like it's not, it for how thin it is, it can be tricky with actually wanting to cut. So as long as you leave everything where it is and test before you commit, you can check and see and make sure, like now, and I'm going to check each little area because I don't want any surprises, thank you. So I'm just checking each little area that looks like that will go, yep, I think right here. So I'm just checking each area that the vinyl is coming off. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Woo! But we want to do that before we move on. So I know it looks ugly right now, but that's just me lifting and testing and making sure that everything is cutting out the way it should be cutting out. The next thing we're going to do is hit select next part. If you hit select next part, it brings you back to here. So you can see we've got the three friends here. And I'm just going to select them. Doesn't matter which one I select first, because I'm going to cut them all out at the same time. And I've got a pretty full sheet here, so I could run, if I want to run a second time, I can, but I'm not really feeling concerned about that. I am going to space them out a little bit. Actually, now that I think about this, I'll space them out a little bit just because I want to make sure that I have space to cut around them for transferring them. Now, the other thing I will mention here is if they are facing this direction when I cut them, because this is heat transfer, it's going to reverse. They're actually going to be facing the other way. So if you don't like that, then you just need to come here, and this button in the middle in the edit screen is the little mirror, little flip switch. So it's going to flip them so they're facing that way now, which means they'll face the other way as soon as I hit cut. And while those cut, I will show you here. So you can see how nicely that's coming out. We're just going to weed, in other words, remove the excess. And I know we've said it before and we'll never stop saying it. Go nice and slow and careful when you are pulling vinyl, just because it's much easier, and I mean much, much easier to fix a mistake if you're going slowly. If you go really fast.
Hey, Ann, this is live, so ask your questions. Everyone's like, is this really live? Yeah, it's really live.
Oh, yeah. So it's much easier to fix the problems if you're working slowly. If you're working too quickly, it can really be disastrous and quickly. So I'm just going to pull that off, and you can see it's going really well. But again, if I had not checked, that first cut did not quite do it. So if I hadn't checked, we'd be having problems. And I can also check here. You can see how it's going to fit. Oh, that's going to be cool. And could we do it this way and just trim off the edges if we wanted it, like if you wanted it to be at an angle? Yes. I'm telling you, with these are kind of addictive, these graduation cap style projects. And could you get a tiny piece of, or not tiny, but maybe 5x5 piece of black paper and be doing this like it was going to be a card? Yes, you could. We could do that too. Okay, so I'm trying to feel over here and see where my characters are so I can check my glitter vinyl. The glitter vinyl is usually pretty good, so we should be good to go. I'm just checking everybody out because I would rather be careful than be wrong. Now we can pull the mat out. The real key here is just that I do not remove the vinyl from the mat until I am sure. And I can't see this guy on the end. I know he's here. Where are you? There you are. It can be tricky sometimes to see, like, where is this? Okay, so it looks like we're good to go on that. So we're going to move this. I am going to, let's see, I will go ahead and remove this because this is so small. If for some reason I am wrong, it's okay. If for some reason I am wrong, paper down, put this guy down. Oh, there we go. Now I can really see it. And then I'm just cutting around where I know it's safe to do so. Ooh, you're much bigger. It's funny how the one, it's like teeny tiny, very big. Okay. So one at a time, I'm just going to, this is why I said I wanted to leave space, because I wanted to have, and it'll make sense, especially when we go to pull this all together. I wanted to have it be a certain way here. So I would have the ability to have everything, like have a little bit of the sticky, because it is sticky. It's holding the material down. And I wanted a bit of that to be around the edge. So that's going to make that very easy for me. And I'm just going to peel to the edge. Once I know I'm clear of the pattern, you can be a lot faster with it, I suppose you could say, or a lot less careful when you know you're all the way out. Just make sure you really know where you're at with it. Once we get close to a pattern, we want to go nice and slow so that we don't tear anything on accident. Oh, look how cute.
Oh, that's cute. So May,
cute.
Julianne says, sometimes it's so hard to see the cut lines.
It
is.
can be really, and it can be a little frustrating sometimes. And the thing that I will say is, you can bend it, bend it, play with the lighting. There's a lot of stuff you can do. You can also go back on the machine and just kind of refer to the pattern so you can see what get an idea of what should I be seeing here. And again, this is going to go away. You see how I ripped that material? That's why we go slow and careful when we're close to the pattern, because we don't want to rip the pattern and have to cut this all over again. I don't care how much time you have for crafting. Nobody likes to have to waste material and recut. because they were moving too quickly and made a whoopsie. Okay, so this is our bird that's flying. And we just about got him. It doesn't take all that long. It's just doing things nice and careful and slow. I'll just cut that corner off there. So we've got our bird. Now we just need our warthog. Here he comes. And you know, this part, it can take a little bit of time, right? But most of the time, I don't use a pattern don't get me wrong, there are patterns that are so intricate that it can take a very, very long time. But for the most part, most patterns don't take all that long. It's just a matter of a little patience and just working your way around there. Okay, so just peeling it back. We're almost there. And you can also remove material if it's easier for you. Like, I'm not bothered by this extra material, but if it's easier for you, you can certainly remove material in advance. All right, so we've got our 3 pals. Oh, they're cute. So cute. We've got our 3 pals and we've got our graduation cap. So these guys are going to go on here. And I'll see so in looking at the pattern has him in the middle. He's a little lower, about there. And he's leading the pack. So you can mix and match. You can be less precise, but you can see we've got a lot of room up here. So you could put whatever else you want. And remember that we could put, like if we had like glitter glue, we could do glitter glue, we could do acrylic paint. Remember that it doesn't have to be one material. You could make a stencil with the scan and cut. I mean, you guys, we could have this live go for like 4 days and not run out of ideas on what could we do to a graduation hat. What I want to do, I'm going to home screen. I'm going to look here first because I thought that I saw a good graduation sentiment. And this is an area that I forget about all the time. Oh, it's so often where I'm going through here and I'm like, oh gosh, that's right. We have this whole section and I feel like we don't talk about it enough. So there's one that says graduation, right? So there's lots and lots and lots of options, love, memories. I just think it's a good Merry Christmas. I mean, there's so many good little sentiments, and this works great for scrapbooking, for card making, for whatever you might be doing. Gift tags. So you can see there's lots and lots and lots of options that we could do. We're going to go and do graduation. Where'd you go? There you are. Okay, and we know that, oh, actually it can be 9 inches. So we'll do it 8 inches wide. Okay. And it can cut crooked like that, or we can straighten it out. It just depends on if you rotate there. If you want it to be more straight, perhaps that would use less material. So we can do that. But if we want to make sure, and we will here, we want to make sure it's all going to fit nicely on our hat. Remember my little button here, right? So if we start getting in here and we want to make sure, did it fit? That's why I drew my paper with my little funky paper with my button dot, is so I'm going to say okay there. I'm going to say okay there, and then I'm going to scan. So that's the whole reason why I did this. If I've got something like this that's very specific, and obviously the little button there is going to be a factor, we can scan this in. We can also, watch this, we're going to scan one more time. Now this is not going to be exact because they probably will wiggle around in there. But you can take it pretty far what you're scanning. And I'm pointing this out to you because for project planning, at least for me, I like a visualization. So look, no, it's not exactly how they'll be, but we can see, here's the edge. I can see the edge of the paper. I can see the button, and I can see how this is going to look. Do I like the look? Do I want it to be bigger? Do I want it to be smaller? Do I even like it? Do I not like how it looks on here? Do I want it to be on top? I mean, I can do all kinds of project planning. You know, I can really look at what do I like? What do I want this to look like? I could also look at, even though I wouldn't cut it necessarily, I could look at it, well, what would it look like if this was along an edge? And if this is along an edge, what size do I need to make it so that it doesn't interfere with the other elements? So if I wanted this to be kind of onto the side here, how would that look? What would that feel like? You know, what would that be? There's lots and lots of options, and I mean, options, I don't know if I'd call it alternative, but just different methods that we can use to take a look and decide what we would like. We can also do things where we are leaving space for the graduate to customize. So if we want to leave room for maybe some handwriting, or maybe friends are going to sign it, anything like that, we certainly can. So many options. I'm going to put this at 5. Whoops, I'm going the wrong direction. Okay, so I'm going to put this at 5 inches high. And then I'm going to rescan my mat. Okay, so now we can see, and I like the idea of it being sideways, which will make more sense when we pull it out here. But I'm going to rescan my mat now so that I can see what the material's looking like. And if you're wondering, well, why are you telling me all this other stuff and all these options? Because when you make your project, usually you're not making the exact same thing as me. And I want to make sure you have all of these great ways that with the scan and gut that we can mix things up. So I'm going to pull this down here like so. Okay, and then I'm going to show you one more thing here, and then we'll assemble. We're going to add pattern. Don't forget, you've got fonts. So if you don't want to go in the computer, or you don't want to use type converter tools, or you don't want to, I don't know, whatever else you don't want to do, you don't have to. Actually, I want that to be maybe about there. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate it so it can be that easy to do. I'm just going to pull this down here, and I could either move it somewhere else, or, because I'm not really exact on the size of the 2023, I can size it down a little. If you need to get really exact here on position, right here, this can nudge it one way or the other if you're trying to make sure that it's all going to work out here for you. And there we can see that nothing's overlapping, but there's one problem. And I know that some of you are already going, May, stop, don't do it, don't do it. If we cut this out right now, what we are going to have is backwards. You have to reverse any letters or numbers. It's not optional. If you don't, they will cut and they will be backwards. You have to make them backwards so that they cut frontwards. However we want to say that, that's what we've got to do. We cannot, it has to be backwards to cut properly only on the heat transfer. On the sticker, because it's the opposite, because the sticker is material, the front side up. The sticker vinyls are the opposite. But the heat transfers, we have got to be in reverse, and we have to remember that too. And I was mentioning you could do glitter glues, you could do acrylic paint, you could do whatever else you've got, buttons, sequins, rhinestones. I mean, I'm like looking around. You could add fabric pieces. You could do like, you could do some like fake flowers. You could get dimensional if you wanted to. And I hope that you guys share some. If any of you have made any, I hope you post them and share them because I would love to see what you've done. The options are just, they blow my mind, all the things you can do. Okay. And it's just finishing up its cutting. And I like to do this where I've got the pattern on a project like this. I want to see the design. I want to see how it's all going to look before I commit. You can actually get graduation caps for not a lot of money, but at the same time, I'm not a big fan on wasting material or wasting resources. So it looks like we cut pretty good, but I always come in here and check. Yep. Okay, we're good. Okay, so I'll unload. Let's see, we'll push the scan and cut back and then peel this off. I know at the start especially, I threw a lot of ideas at you of all the things, all the ways that we could use this, all the things that we could use. But you know what? There really are just that many options. There's so many options. And depending on what your end game is, right? Depending on what the result is that you're hoping for, that will kind of dictate what it is that you're going to do or how you're going to go about your project planning, because that definitely changes things, right? If your goal is above all else to do rhinestones, or your goal is to do a certain part, then that's what you're going to plan around and work around and sort out. I will say if you're wanting to do a lot of dimension, it's generally better to do any of the, I would call it like flat work, like what we're doing here. It would be generally, it would be better to do anything where you're trying to do like the stuff that's going to lay flat. It's just generally a little easier and a little better. Do that first, right? And then get dimensional, because otherwise it can just get a little tricky to make it all work out. You can see, here we go. You can see how easy the scan and cut makes it. There's just so easy to pull out those letters. And you can also see how we had to cut backwards, because if you, this is what it would look like. It would look backwards to us if we had not cut it backwards. And I know for me, I still, to this day, I will still mess that up and forget. I just try really hard to either remind myself or do a double, make a habit of making a double check to avoid such a pain of having to recut material, because you guys will have to chime in and tell us if you've done that before. Man, I don't know if very much makes me more irritated than that. So there we go. There's our graduation. And I think, I say I think because watch, we never know. This could, I could end up changing my mind, but I think I want these two separated. And my thought was these guys would be here, and then the graduation will be really subtle. Remember I was saying how my daughter was talking about doing that. So we could put the black on black, so it would be really subtle. We could put the 2023 over here. We could put it up on, I think I'm going to put it on this corner, so it'll be the one corner and then the other corner. So we are to the point. It is time. In my case, I have a felt mat. Ironing board works well. You want to get, if you have any of this, you want it gone. I'm reaching over to the garbage can. We want it gone. Now, when you're looking at this, it can be kind of wiggly.
Sorry, May. I'm laughing at Patty's comment. She said she's done it with applique pieces. Very frustrating to find you put the vinyl down backwards.
Well, it is so frustrating. And dang it, I get mad at myself every time I do that, because I just get so irritated about that I wasted material and that I didn't think of it. Okay, so I've got to wake my iron back up. And remember, with your iron, what setting you use is going to depend on your iron. Now, this is going to be, because of this, it can be a little wiggly. You're just going to want to do your best, right? You're going to want to do your best. So try to get it nice and straight and even. And remember that stickiness should help you. I'm also going to grab a piece of fabric from behind me to use as a cloth. And I want, whatever you do, do not start ironing and have on your ironing board or felt mat a different piece like this. I promise you, you will accidentally iron this, and then you're going to have a graduation themed felt mat forever. You don't want that. Okay. So then I am going to press, and I do like to do a test depending on the material. So the glitter vinyl is pretty tough. Sometimes I'll do a little test like this directly just to see, you know, like how much heat is it taking, and like that much heat didn't help me at all, so I can press a little more. But I like to do a small test first like this before I get to my bigger or more important pieces. And I'm also working with the black glitter on black material, which is going to be a little less upsetting if it's not perfect, because you're not going to see very much of it anyway. So we'll do always do our tests and always work slowly. And then when you lift it off after you've pressed, if you see it lifting, like this number 3 was lifting, well, then you know you didn't press enough or long enough. So you're going to want to do it again. And I try to keep the pressure on towards the point that I am working on. Okay, so that, like I was saying, it's going to be very subtle, but at the same time, out in the sunshine, it'll sparkle and be pretty cool. It's almost like secret decorating. Okay, and then graduation is going right here along this line. And we're going to do the same thing, and we're just going to let the cap kind of lean. If you have a pattern that is the whole entire, like one piece, I don't know what in the world, I guess you'd have to have hand design. If you hand designed a single piece in a single color for the entire surface, let's see, have you stuck yet? Not yet. Okay, good. I changed my mind and wanted to move it up a bit. Okay. So if you did that, you would obviously be working extra slow and extra careful. I think that if you can, having smaller pieces and being able to work around is going to be easier, just because you're never ever going to get the graduation cap to totally lie flat. So you kind of have to work around the sides, kind of in the different areas in the sides, and get it to press down. I'm just doing a couple of times here, and you need more. And the cloth is also protecting the 2023 did. So it's doing double duty. Let's see. Ooh, that's cool. Okay. So that came out very cool. It looks like there's 1 or 2 little pieces of fuzz that got stuck underneath. Don't worry about that. I can take little tweezers when I'm done here. If you take a little tweezers and pick if any little fuzz got stuck in your design, you can get rid of that. And yes, I'm being super, super picky there, but I know that can irritate, right? You've done all this work and you find, oh, I've left this one little detail. So here's my little tweezers. You would just take wherever the little fuzz was. Usually that'll come right off. If it doesn't, if for some reason like that little white piece of fuzz just wants to be the bane of my existence, then you get your scissors out. Carefully, slowly. I like my little embroidery scissors usually. And you can usually trim it. So we won't spend more time on that, but that's how you would do that, to take care of that. And then we're turning it, and we want our base layer first. And it's up to you if you want it to be offset, if you want it to be centered. If you want to measure, can you measure? Of course. I usually just use my thumbs and see based on my thumbs if it's close. Because remember, again, this is going to be this way, so it's going to be sideways anyway. Okay, here we go. Put down our cover. I'll just kind of get my hands in here too so I can feel where's that button, because I know I've got kind of an arch, right? Since we're doing the sun there, and I know I'll just press. And theoretically, this is a very thin vinyl. This was that athlete or sport or whatever the heck it was called type. And the different types, like there's the glitter that tends to be a lot thicker, and honestly, it tends to be very forgiving. Let's see, I don't think I've done it all. Nope. I was going to say, I don't think I've pressed enough or had nearly enough, and I have not. So the type like glitter is thicker, but it also tends to be really forgiving. There are some that are just kind of, I guess you would call them standard. Then you've got some that are a little more specialty. Like this one has kind of some stretch to it, what you've got to be careful about because it's meant for like team jerseys and that kind of stuff. There's also ones that are holographic. There's ones that are flocked. Let's see, flocked, you guys will have to chime in what other kinds you've used, but there's lots and lots within heat transfer vinyl. There's lots and lots of different ones. And if you're wondering why I'm both pressing, and I'm putting pressure. Why am I pressing and moving it? I don't want it to burn. So I don't want it to overheat and then melt things down. That would be really terrible. So we'd like to avoid that. It looks like we're close, but not quite. So a little more. And then also because this is a little more sensitive of a vinyl, I'm also going to give it like 30 seconds or a minute to cool down. Okay. And there's another trick. do you see that my iron is on the cloth, but my eye is on the vinyl? So you can use kind of a push-pull system to see where your edges are, when, especially something like this where I'm really trying to get all of the edges really, really good, right? Because I want everything to peel off smoothly, seamlessly. So I think that's got to be pretty close here, but I know I said I was going to wait, and I am, but I'm just testing the edges to see if there's areas like right here I wasn't happy about what I saw, and right there I'm not happy at all. You can see right there, you see how this side is not done? That's why, again, that's like the mantra, right, with the vinyl. We want to work really slow and be sure that we've done all we need to do in order to get things to transfer nicely and be really beautiful, right? Because if we don't, if we go nice and slow and double check ourselves, we're good to go. If we don't, well, we could really have some issues. So we avoid those issues as best as we can. And I will just check because I should be able to see. And you see how now when I move my finger, it's not coming with me. So I'm just going to count to like 30 here and let that cool before I lift it. And then our final step will be these guys. So what I'll do while we wait for a second here is I'm actually going to trim them down a little more. Because if I trim them down a little more, we can do them all at the same time versus if they have really big plastic all around. Well, this guy, not so much. This guy, just the front, I guess. Just the bottom, the front. Okay, so let's see. And remember, we want to move really slow. And if it's not super smooth, if we're not confident, just place it back down. It's definitely easier to fix If you've gone really slow and you feel really confident, it's definitely easier to fix that than it is to attempt to fix something that was, and actually I want him a little higher. So that was a little tip of his tail, and there we go. If you go too fast, you're just more likely. And to avoid, by the way, if you're trying to avoid the fuzz issues, turn it over so you can see the backside and just double check if you've got any issues. That's something to do. Okay. And then I'm going to place this. I'm going to place this back over. It's just an extra layer of protection, and it's something I'll do, especially if I have a sensitive material or I have concerns about burning a material, or, you know, just I want to make sure I don't ruin this when we're on the last piece of vinyl. That would be really terrible. And the glitter tends, I feel like the glitter goes really fast. Usually, it usually wants to stick. So I got to use my right hand for that. There we go. I usually iron left-handed, but right now, during surgery recovery, it's a limit on how much pressure I can deliver with that left arm. So, to the right arm it is. And I like this little trick, honestly, especially for a pattern like this. And I want to see, I don't want to put like right here, I wouldn't want to be, or up here, I wouldn't want to be putting a lot of pressure and a lot of effort because there's nothing to do there. I'm just risking burning material because I've already transferred that material. So I really like doing it this way. And you want a lot of pressure when you're starting to get on these multiple surfaces where like it's adhering to different surfaces and it's different thicknesses and layers. You just want to be extra, extra careful there. So let's take a peek. Okay, that one looks good. You're not ready. What about you? Nope. Okay. So this guy's all set, but the other two are not ready. So I'm not moving anything. I'm just going to continue, go back, do what I was doing. And part of that's going to be like, this is a little harder because it's lifted. So it's a little trickier to get that good pressure. And I say a little trickier. I mean, it's not actually tricky. It's just slightly more effort, right? Slightly more effort. And we'll give a little pig friend here, a little warthog friend, another pass. I think it was sticking. It just wasn't. If you're not totally happy with it, double check it. And if you double check it, like I'll show you this because I can already see this one spot I want checked again. So his tip of his wing and his tail are not just so. But I'm going to show you what I would do when his little nose does not want to do it. Okay, so I did this on purpose. Just to be clear, that's on purpose because you know what? We're human, and if you don't have like a professional press and this and that, things happen. So if after, and sometimes it can happen, sometimes it can be a little delayed too, right? Like maybe I went and did all my other stuff and then I came back and noticed, oh my gosh, he's not glued, he's not adhered down, it didn't work. Or the little tip, sometimes like a little tip of something is coming up. Either grab your used transfer material or get a new piece of transfer material if you have to. Just press everything back down. Press everything back down because you're just spot checking. And it can be at any point. It could be the next day. If you realize something is not just right. Because I know it can be, the only thing I find sometimes about working with vinyl is sometimes it can be a little intimidating, like, gosh, I didn't do it just right, or this didn't happen the way I wished it would have happened, or the way I envisioned it, or this came up. Well, you can always come back and fix it up, right? And on a project like this as well, you could probably put some spray sealant or spray adhesive. That was one that I was looking at doing, was you could spray the whole thing, not use glitter vinyl, just use regular vinyl, and then spray the whole thing down with spray adhesive and glitter it, like clear glitter, and you would still see everything through. That would be a lot of fun. But that would also seal up any whoopsies. So just remember, you can almost always fix a crafting mistake or whoopsie. If it happens, not the end of the world. We're not going to panic. Because see, look, now everything is perfectly stuck down. Now everything is really, really on there.
That is so cute, May.
Isn't that fun?
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? This is one of those ones where we could keep going. We could keep, you could keep doing. And this is where I was talking about. I would do the vinyl first. If you were going to get mixed media, or you were going to add paints, or you're going to add dimensional stuff, I would do my vinyl first. Get that flat layer of vinyl, whatever that's going to be on there. Whether it's something where you're designing yourself, or you're using scan and cut built-ins, which is my personal favorite. Whatever you're doing, you could get it all done. And that's going to be cute, like kind of sideways there too. I like how they're kind of going up and it says graduation, but it's real subtle. So much fun.
That is adorable. I'm just checking to see if any questions are rolling in, and I don't see any. In fact, I was kind of chuckling because Anne wanted to know if we were live, and then she said, oh, she'd accidentally put us on pause.
Oh.
That's hilarious. This is so cute. Easy to do.
Yeah. Well, and you can make it tricky if you really want to make it tricky. You certainly can. And you can make it time consuming if you wanted to. I will also point out, for those of you who like to hand sew, generally speaking, these caps are fabric just kind of folded over, like they're adhered on the head side, right? They're adhered on the bottom side. But up on the top, it tends to just be loose fabric except where the button is. So you could do some hand sewing. You could get a needle and thread in there if you wanted to add some hand stitched details. I think that could be a lot of fun. So many options.
You know what? That's really cute. And, judging by a lot of the comments, some people are saying, well, some of my kids want something, but they want it really subtle. This is super subtle.
Yeah. You could do just black on black, or whatever color the cap is. You could do the same color of vinyl, and then it would be subtle. Or maybe it's got there's glitter, but there's also like pearlized or iridescent and different finishes you could do to make it really subtle. Or maybe you got the person who wants to be like really loud, then you can get really loud. You could also do school colors. You could do their favorite colors. There's lots of different things. Yeah, if you can see here,
there,
you can see how
it
subtle
now,
that
Mary?
is.
Yeah, that's
and if you rewatch, you'll see it come up a couple times too, where you can see how.
I really like the Disney one. That's really cute.
I know. I would go bold and be funny, but I'm not graduating from anything, so mine would be something wilder, I think. But yeah, and you can do favorite color or a favorite topic. You could do school color, whatever colors you like, whatever materials you like. There's so many options for you. And you could do it either as a surprise, or you could do it with the graduate's input, have the graduate make it. You could do all the cutting and setting up, or have them do the designing and then you work the crafter magic. So many great options.
Super, super fun. Everybody's saying, I love this. I love this. It's a lot. Yeah, you're great to see you, Cindy. Yeah, so this was a cute project, May, as they all are. So if you want to go back and watch this, you can go back. First of all, if you're on YouTube, I see a lot of you on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the Brother Crafts channel, because May comes on here usually the second Tuesday of the month. And so you'll always get a notification when she comes on. So you don't want to miss that. And the other thing is you can come back and watch anytime. So May, I had a few people recently ask, how do you watch the live replays on YouTube? So when you go to the YouTube channel for Brother Sews or myself or May, if you look at the heading, it'll usually say videos, then there's shorts, I think, and then it'll say live. When you click on that live, you'll get the whole list from, at least on Brother, for the last, since March of 2020. So if you scroll back, you can see the dates and you'll be able to go back, and May's in the heading if you want to see May's projects. So can't miss it. Super cute project.
So much fun, you guys. So much fun. I'm hoping to see other people's ideas, because every year you'll see new ideas or some of them, they get really, really crazy. The only thing I try to keep in mind is it's going to be sitting on someone's head. So there's probably a weight limit. How much weight someone wants to put, which again, is the great thing about vinyl, is that it's so lightweight. They won't feel any additional weight if you're adding vinyl.
Oh, That's so cute. Yeah, don't forget about the weight. That's really important. Well, May, this is a great project. I'm gonna have to actually embellish our fishing hats a little bit. You kind of gave me some ideas, and I think somebody in here wrote, "I love these fun projects," but they wrote it FIN. They must be reading my mind. I think I need to. We're not graduating, but I can definitely decorate our fishing hats with some of these.
Fishing hats would be super cute. I know the bucket hats that are really popular. You could decorate the brim or the underneath. I've seen people decorating the underneath of hats, or like a baseball cap underneath the baseball cap, so it's there, but you have to be able to be at the right angle to see what's there if you want it more hidden. Or I guess you could get plain baseball caps and do a whole thing right on the front. Lots of things you could do.
All these ideas. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us live today. We will be, let's see, today's Tuesday. So I will be live tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern on my channel. And we'll be back on Brothers channel at noon. May, you have any live shows this week to announce?
I don't. I'm not doing very many lives at the moment. We're working back up to that.
All right. Well, get that sling back on your arm so you can recover quickly. And everyone here says great project. And brother, thank you for letting us take over your page. I think Lorraine posted, "Hey, brother, thanks for bringing Thursdays back." You're so welcome. So, May, I will see you next month. In the meantime, happy healing.
Thank you. See everybody next time.